This video is brought to you by ScaledWorld.net. If you want to get your build featured or check out some other awesome featured builds, be sure to head over to their Facebook page or their website to check it out and fill in that feature form. Before I could apply the clear coat, there were still a couple of panels and different colors that needed to be applied to the body first, as they also needed to be glossy. So I took out some masking tape and started masking it off, and then applying the various different colors and masking, unmasking, and repeating that same procedure a couple of times. Now before all you keyboard warriors start typing that this piece is supposed to be gold or the same color as the body, it's not. It's just done that way a lot of the times, and in this case I'm not doing it like anybody else. I'm doing it my own way, and I wanted these to be gunmetal, so I masked it off and painted those areas gunmetal to match with that rear diffuser, and also to obtain a bit of the stock look that the normal car has without these wide over fenders. If you want to know more about what airbrush I use, the settings I use for my air pressure, even the air compressor and spray booth I use, plus a lot of other tools, definitely check out the links down in the description below, and also the written information on the air pressure and some other tools as well. After applying 2 coats of that gunmetal gray, I could remove the masking tape and reveal those painted areas. Besides those gunmetal gray areas, there were also a lot of parts and pieces that needed to be painted black, mainly the window trim and those A-pillars. The window trim actually needs to be painted in a flat black, though the panel lines were pretty much non-existent and I scribed them out myself, and they are still pretty shallow as these are very small edges. So I decided, while I still can see them, I'm just masking them off and painting them, and afterwards with the clear coat on, I could always just paint them flat black. So the masking and unmasking was repeated a couple more times for some other places all over, which I'm going to show you now, and then when that is all done we can move on to applying some decals, forming them, and moving on to the clear coat. So as you can probably see while I'm unmasking this rear part, there are still some emblems embossed in the trunk and also on the rear bumper for the Nissan logo and the GTR logo. And then I took out the decal sheet to find that they did not supply any of those decals on that sheet. Now luckily I was stupid enough to ruin one of these kits a couple of years ago, and I saved a decal sheet which still had those decals on. So if you're not as stupid as me and don't have a decal sheet from a ruined kit left over, please sand those logos off before you start painting. Now if you are as stupid as me and do have that decal sheet left over, you are lucky because you can still use those emblems. After applying and forming those decals to shape, I let them dry for a bit and moved on to applying the clear coat. I firstly started on some smaller parts like the side mirrors and the hood, and then moved on to the main body itself, removing any loose or remaining dust with some air, then applying a light coat to those hard to reach, easy to forget spots, and of course then moving on to the main body itself with a nice thick first coat. So as you can see, when applying this first coat, it is already going on pretty thick. I'm creating a nice shine and also a super smooth surface for the second coat to lay down onto. Now the reason I can do this thicker coat is because there are almost no decals applied to the body apart from those two small ones in the rear. Now if you do have a lot of decals on the body, start with a light coat first and then build your coats and layers up to get a smoother finish in a longer period of time. If you don't, then you can pretty much just hammer the clear on as thick as you want, without of course creating runs or filling in all of the panel lines. The first coat is now on, the body is nice and glossy already, so I just filled up the airbrush, set it aside for about 5 minutes, and then returned to apply the second and final coat, also applying it nice and thick, being sure not to overdo it in creating runs or filling in some of those panel lines, but do make sure that I get a nice smooth finish all over. And with that, it all looks pretty good. I have 1 or 2 dust spots on the roof and also have a couple small ones on the hood itself. No major problems there. I could sand those out or just leave them in, as they are not really eyesores and stand out all that much. So with that said, I just let it cure for a couple of days and then I will move on to doing some other parts in the meantime. This video is brought to you by ScaledWorld.net. If you want to get your build featured or check out some other awesome featured builds, be sure to head over to their Facebook page or their website to check it out and fill in that feature form.